What's up, folks, and welcome to Indie Ramble. Yes, I've got another, well, it's not a shmup today, it's a twin-stick shooter, but this one has not been getting nearly the attention it deserves, in my opinion, and I wanted to show it off to you because it is honestly just sublime. So this is Devastator, which I admit is a rather generic name. I think maybe it could have had something to spice it up a little bit more, but it is one of two videos in a row I'm going to be doing from Radian Games, and this is a developer that's been around for a while, single-person studio, and he's made a lot of really cool, more arcade-flavored games for the most part. And he has a really good pedigree. He's done a lot of work on games like Red Faction and Overload and other titles like that that I really enjoy and which are really physics-based. And that's very much the case with this. This game is like if you took Geometry Wars and added a bunch of stuff on top of it. And I'm going to show you why I think this is just such a great time. So this has 3 core modes here. You can sort of see what the descriptions are. It's all variations on a theme of progression, really. So you're doing the twin stick thing kind of throughout, but there's various different ways to do it. These all have their own online leaderboards, as well as achievements tied to them, and everything has 3 difficulties. So I'm just going to give you a quick little rundown here, but you have power-ups and sort of screen-clearing attacks that you can get more charges for. You can get turbo shots if you don't fire for a little while. There's all kinds of bonus mechanics, lots of different enemies. The scoring system in this is actually somewhat involved, and there's a lot of ways to get your score up a lot quicker. So as you can see here, there's more to this than meets the eye. So I'm going to take you quickly through all the different modes here. So as I said, you've got 3 different difficulties. Everything is fully leaderboarded, and it works quite well, actually. I like it a lot. As you might have quickly seen there, the leaderboards are fairly thin. Yeah, I don't know why. This game has really not gotten a lot of attention since it came out, and I have been absolutely loving it. I have it on PC, and I bought it again on Xbox, actually. And I've just been playing it a lot and really enjoying it. So hopefully, with all the particle effects going on here, the YouTube algorithm for compression isn't ruining the visuals too much. But yeah, this game loves its particle effects, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It also puts almost no load on my system whatsoever, so it's pretty I think it's pretty well optimized and can run on some fairly low-end stuff. Though it does have 4 full K support and support for very high frame rates as well, which is great in a game like this. And yeah, you're really seeing it here. It's a twin stick shooter. So you've got 3 different guns that you can fire that you can get by... I'm playing with a controller, which you really got to play something like this with a controller. But by tapping the left bumper on the controller, there's 3 different guns of various different spread types and speeds that you can switch between. And also, if you just move without firing for a while, you charge up a turbo meter that you can see down there. And it does exactly what it says on the tin. It will fire your gun more rapidly for a period of time. And the longer you move without firing, sitting still doesn't help. You got to move. But as long as you move without firing, you can charge that up. Very helpful for getting you out of a jam. Now, in this mode that I'm playing in right now, you only have 1 life. But the other modes you actually have, or you start with only 1 life anyway. But in the other modes you have more of a, let's pick this one. But in the other modes you have more of multiple recharges is what they call them. So you have those different weapons you can shoot through. You have the turbo ability. You can also do that. So you have what are called blasts, which you can use by holding down the right trigger, and the longer you hold it down, the bigger a radius that you will get. Enemies in the radius will be slowed down a little bit, and anything caught within while you're building it out, and anything that's caught within that radius when it lets go is nuked. So there are some enemies that you actually can't kill with your traditional guns, which are any of these enemies that show in red. The bombs or blasts, however, will take those out. So that's something to keep in mind. You recharge them as well as get score by picking up and they'll be hard to see here, but the enemies drop little purple particles, and if you pick those up, that will slowly recharge your blasts. And also, if you shoot one of those sort of faded quadrant blocks there, you will uncover a large blast charge underneath. You can carry up to 3 of them at a time. Any more than that, and they won't go up any further. But yeah, and then also as you go through the map, you'll see the there's one right there. That allows you to pick up basically super enhancements to your weapons, so your shots do more damage. And in certain levels as well, you can also pick up other power-ups that will give you extra shields, that will slow the enemies down, give you kind of a bullet time thing. In some of the maps, there's little teleporters. There's the bombs. Oh, I love that effect. In some of the maps, there's teleporters you can go through. You can actually telefrag enemies through that, which if you're really, there's an achievement tied to that. And if you're really good, you can pull that off. And as you can see, the maps change around between each what they call wave, and they will alter a lot, and some of them are much trickier than others. You'll often find yourself having to work in confined spaces. You're going to have to lead very large groups of enemies down into, you're going to have to create choke points effectively in order to deal with the large groups of enemies that will come at you. And you know, as is the rule in most games like this, never stop moving. Even when you got to recharge your turbo thing, the game still encourages you to keep moving, because you have to in order to do that. The game really doesn't want you to ever stop, and that is definitely to your detriment if you do that. And your goal is simple: to get to the end, to survive all the waves you can and get as big a score as you can. And that's really all there is to it. It's a very simple concept. It's very arcadey. It's not necessarily super challenging to get to the end of all the modes, but getting the biggest score you can and maintaining your multiplier as long as you can, which in turn will give you a better rank at the end, that's where the challenge really lies. It's less about being able to get through it, and more being able to optimize your way through it. It's really just the best elements of traditional arcade style score attack games, and it's fantastic. I'm really surprised this hasn't gotten more attention, because twin stick and shmup fans, there's a lot of us out there, and it's a fairly passionate community that really likes to check out a lot of new stuff, and this one just seems to have flown under the radar. There's very few reviews for it on Steam. The leaderboards on both PC and Xbox are fairly skimpy. I don't know what they're like on Switch and PlayStation, but I imagine they're similar. Just really seems that this has passed a lot of people by, and like most stuff that Radiant Games puts out, it's top quality. You know, with the exception of the game that we're going to show in the next episode of Indie Ramble, which is also from Radiant Games, the games that he makes tend to be relatively straightforward. They're really good arcadey games. They're not overly complicated. They're mechanically very well put together and very sound, but they're designed to do, you know, one simple thing really, really well, which is something I always appreciate. You know, less is not more, but you can often do more with less. And he excels at that. I think Radiant Games has always done a great job of taking a simple concept and making some neat concepts on it, or putting some neat concepts on it, but still making it very easy to understand, to get into, easy to learn, hard to master, always fun. And he's really good at that. And I think this is the one of the best examples he's made of that concept. I think anybody who's into twin sticks, especially if you were into Geometry Wars back in the day, remember when the Xbox 360 launched and Geometry Wars was the thing? Like when the 360 came out, that $10 downloadable game was like the killer app for that console for a long time, and with good reason. It was excellent. It still holds up today. Fantastic experience. And this really, to me, even though there's obviously a lot more to this than Geometry Wars in terms of the amount of different things you can do and the amount of mechanics and the different changing levels and everything else like that, it still encapsulates all the core features of what made that game so good and so compelling and so addictive. It's really just it's a fantastic score attack title in all the ways a game like that needs to be. This is something you could have totally put in an arcade cabinet back in the day, and it probably would have pulled in a lot of quarters. You know, it's really just does that so well. There's no story whatsoever. You know, this is not a big RPG. It doesn't have a lot of complex systems in it. It's just good fun. You shoot the enemies, you watch the pretty particle effects, and you try to make the number go as high as you can. It's old school gaming mentality at its finest, and sometimes that's all you want. Sometimes you just want something that's simple, fun, accessible, and that you can play over and over again when you have a little bit of time to kill and just enjoy yourself. And I love big games. I love games that are ambitious, that take chances and push the boundaries of what you can do with game design. But I grew up with arcades, and I grew up with much simpler titles, and I still have a real reverence for those. And just good, pure mechanical fun still can't be beat, in my opinion. And I think Radiant Games did an absolutely sublime job at capturing that with this. Like I said, the title's a little generic. I think maybe, I don't know. I ain't no marketing expert, but it feels to me like Devastator might have done a little bit better if it had a little bit of a flashier name. But don't be put off by that generic title. You know, this is not some asset flip on Steam. This is a very well polished, well crafted, well designed, and just damn fun twin stick shooter. And I've been having a blast with it, and I'm gonna keep playing it because I've actually done very well at it. Even though between the Xbox and PC versions, I probably only put like 3 hours into this game total, because it's just, you can accomplish a lot in it in a short time, which is something that's important with games like this. But it's something I'll probably keep installed and keep coming back to for years, literally, because it never gets old, you know. And you can, in a score attack game, you can always find ways to do better, and you can always refine your play, and you can always come. It's the same thing I love about pinball. You know, you can always get better, and you can always find your skills improving just a little bit more and a little bit more each time. And that iterative progression is, I think, what really embodies the spirit of games as they were, video games as they were originally intended. So there's not much more to show you here. You've kind of seen it. It's simple, but it's priced appropriately as well. This game's not very expensive, and I think it actually offers a lot, both on the technical front and on the gameplay front for the amount of money you put into it. So if you like arcade style stuff like this, and really almost everybody does to some degree, I think you really should give this a try, because it's really, really well done, and I know people who are into this kind of game would enjoy it if it got put in front of more of you, and that's what I hope to do here, because I think this definitely deserves to be doing a lot better than it has been so far. So yeah, that is Devastator. It is out now on basically everything, and you know, they didn't skimp on what platforms they put this on, which is I think very smart idea. If you got something with a controller, you can play this, and I personally think, unless you really hate fun, I think you're likely to have a pretty good time with this. So thanks for watching, everybody. I do appreciate it. If you like what you saw here, please do all the normal YouTube things. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. Leave a comment down below. Tell me, does this interest you? What other twin stick games are out that you really like or that you played in the past? I know there's some other ones out there, but like I said, I think this is something that more people should get their eyes on. And as always, you can follow me over at twitch.tv/pxabstraction for multiple variety streams a week. We cover indie and retro stuff over there, including stuff you won't find here on YouTube. We have a great community over there, and I would love to see you. And yeah, this is the first of 2 Radiant Games videos, so if the next episode is out when you're watching this, give it a look, because it's something that's very different, but also really fun in the same way this one is. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you on the next Indie Ramble. You folks have yourselves a good one. Take it easy.